Of that fact, and we'll talk about that case specifically coming up and where that stands. But I wanted to get your reaction to what's going on now with D&I Ratcliffe releasing these handwritten notes from Brennan. The headline most people are going with is that this shows there was coordination between John Brennan, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton to stir up this narrative to run it as interference to make Hillary Clinton sound less shady is the word I'm looking for, perhaps.
Of course, they all knew exactly what was going on. They signed on to it. They jumped on the Russia collusion hoax train, and they rode it as long and as far as they could. And they're still trying to ride it. It makes no sense whatsoever. We all know that she hired Perkins Coy. The DNC contributed to that massive effort. So did the Obama PAC. And they all knew exactly what was going on. That's what they intended. They've made the most of it, and they have committed the criminal fraud on the country for the last 4 years.
And the one thing that is just striking about this is that, announcement from James Comey in October of 2016, kind of saying that the investigation was being reopened here. Some people say that cost Hillary Clinton the election itself. But when we look at that incident and, not with all this other information we have, what jumps out to you about that?
That was Comey trying to cover Comey because they knew they hadn't done what they should have done with the Wiener laptop, and the New York Police Department officers who were honest were going to disclose all that. He just simply had to do it to try to save his own skin.
Yeah. So let's talk, too, about the CIA Director, Gina Haspel. There are reports that she is banking on Trump to lose in 2020 in order to keep some of these documents hidden from the public. Do you believe these reports?
I think that's entirely possible. She was London's office station head when all of this was happening, and we know that British intelligence had a role in it too, and they were using the Five Eyes chance to get it.
And how much of this do you think has to do with, covering their CYA, from a legal standpoint, and also reputation management with these other foreign intelligence agencies that we worked with?
I think it has a lot to do with that, but mainly protecting themselves and all the offenses they've committed, whether ethical or illegal.
All right, well, let's talk about your client here. We just learned yesterday that U.S. Attorney John Bash, who was heading up the investigation into the unmasking of General Flynn, had resigned from the Justice Department. Is there anything here other than he's moving on?
Not that I know of. I hate that he didn't finish the investigation before he left, assuming that's the case. But I'm sure somebody else will pick up the torch and carry it on.
Mm-hmm. What is the latest on General Flynn's case? Last time we talked, it was still in limbo. Judge Sullivan still seems unwilling to budge from where his position is on this case. We're still waiting for what?
Well, we've made an oral motion to recuse him, to disqualify him because of his appearance of bias and actual bias and his active litigation against General Flynn in the case at the hearing Tuesday. We are filing shortly a motion to that effect, documenting it all for the record. He cut me off in making the presentation in court.
So he's not only, stubborn, but he's also rude here, huh?
I will let people draw their own conclusions from listening to the hearing or reading the transcript.
Understand. You're an officer of the court, and you guys have your decorum and your respect, and I appreciate that position. All right, last topic. This is somewhat, unrelated to everything, but it cropped up last night, and since you're one of the smartest attorneys we have, we wanted to ask you about this criminal proceeding down in Texas. A grand jury has just indicted Netflix and charged the company with knowingly streaming lewd visual material. Children, this all stems from complaints about that new film, Cuties. Do you think this is a legitimate case?
I just saw that. I have not watched the film, but given the outrage I've heard over it, it could very well be a legitimate case.
All right.